We've made it to the middle of the week. That is fantastic. It's our pleasure to welcome now the Executive Director of the Mississippi Development Authority, Bill Cork. Bill, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming out today.
Thanks for getting me out of the office. It's beautiful out here today.
So this is a day we need to be recruiting industry into the state. Show them the Chamber of Commerce weather, as they say, right?
Exactly right.
So, well, not far from our location right here, Bill, of course, is the largest economic development project in the history of the state, that at the Madison megasite, Amazon Web Services, building 2 hyperscale data center campuses, some of it at the megasite, some of it, as you know, in the south part of the county in Ridgeland. That's been a huge success story for the state. But you guys have enjoyed a number of success stories in the last couple of years that has just been phenomenal.
It really is. We just announced this morning 100 new jobs in Batesville at GE Aerospace. I think a $10 or $11 million investment up there. We had another announcement earlier this week. We got one more coming. So it's just the hits keep coming. Just watch the governor's Facebook feed. And
he loves it.
He loves it.
And he's awesome. I mean, it's so good to see that the governor is really super focused on economic development. I personally believe, I think you probably share my view here, that virtually all of our most critical issues in our state are, in fact, addressed by economic development.
That's right. I mean, and the governor set out very early on in his tenure as governor to raise the average wage,
right,
to attract companies that provides family-sustaining wages with good benefits, safe work environments. And, you know, that's happening. $32 billion in CapEx, 23,000 jobs.
Incredible.
Since 2020, and he deserves a lot of the credit for it.
Yeah, and it's a team effort. I mean, the governor certainly serves as a great spokesperson on behalf of the state, and he will get involved, as you know, in the deals. He likes to do it, and he's good at it. And his input is certainly welcome. It's a team effort, though, is it not, Bill?
You know, economic development's a ground game, though, Gerard, and I think you know this. You've seen this happen up here in Madison, and if we don't have a good, strong local teams and that have the product in place and can be responsive to these companies, there's really not a lot the state can do to break that cycle. So I like to tell everybody who's listening out there that if you've got a community that's not taking advantage of this great growth and success that we're seeing now, you know, the question you really got to ask yourself, what are you doing at the local level to make that happen?
Totally true. You know, the governor, I remember it distinctly when he was running for his first term. He would consistently on the campaign trail say, I don't want to make Mississippi just a good place to work, raise a family, and start a business or expand a business. I want to make it the best place. And certainly I think he's done a lot of work towards achieving that end goal when you look at the just amazing amount of investment into the state.
It is, and he's fond of saying, too, that he's proud of the geographic distribution. You know, in the 82 counties, I think we've had probably over 30 counties get something. And, you know, a $75 million project and 25 good high-paying jobs in rural Mississippi is a home run.
Huge.
So, yeah.
No doubt about it. To what do you attribute all this success? You were just talking about GE Aerospace and their investment in North Mississippi. I mean, what is it they see and what is it they like about Mississippi, Bill?
Well, I think, you know, any company that in this environment that's trying to deploy capital and to take advantage of the U.S. markets or to expand in their existing U.S. market, they're focused on 3 things, and that's speed, risk, and money. And speed, what we mean by speed is how does that company go from spending money to making money the fastest? And risk, do we know what they are? Can we mitigate them? And if we can't mitigate them, you know, at least they're known so we can kind of manage around them. And then the money is really not just about cash and incentives. It's really about how does doing business in Mississippi impact their balance sheet. And I think we've got a great story around all those 3 things. I think the governor's very focused on speed to market. We're doing a lot of due diligence on these sites. We know what's out there, so there's no surprises. And our affordability is our strength as well, which helps the balance sheet and the overall business climate. So no doubt, those things that's what's doing it. And you know, we've got a very competitive market here in the Deep South. I mean, as you can see, it's a race for eliminating the income tax and providing site development grants. And,
yep.
I mean, it changes every day. You got to be on your game. You can't be complacent.
Investments in workforce development as well, and you know, I've thought, having been involved with the Development Authority here in Madison County in this AWS project, you know, the other factor in economic development today is energy. And what a huge deal that's become. We're blessed with great energy partners that service the state of Mississippi, and the feedback that we received often, and I know you hear it as well, is just being responsive and being able to cut through the red tape and the permitting and all the other rules and regulations, because that is how you get the speed to market.
Speed and risk.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can neutralize those two things, you've got 2/3 of the battle done, and then it's really about the company's ability to make money.
Yeah.
At that point. And, we're not going to win every project because we may have other places may have logistics advantages or natural resource advantages.
Sure.
But we also know what lane we're swimming in, and we know exactly which companies are more likely to be here. So we're very much more targeted in our recruitment strategies. And I think that's also helped with the win rate going up, and we're just not wasting as much time chasing things we can't win.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. The tax and regulatory environment here in the state of Mississippi, even though the legislature just passed really sweeping tax reform, ultimately eliminating the income tax over a few years, this is a pretty good low-cost place to do business when it comes to that.
It is. It's affordability is one of the key attributes. And look, a lot of companies, before they even come to Mississippi to have a conversation with us, have already done their homework.
Yeah, sure.
So if they didn't think we were going to be in the hunt, they wouldn't be here.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things. The tax environment and affordability are clearly advantages for us. I think the reduction in the overall long-term reduction in the personal income tax, I think, is really going to help attract wealth to the state. This is one of the areas where we do see in competitions where we have family-owned businesses or closely held businesses, those high net worth individuals that are thinking about making an investment here want to be here with that investment for a while, and they may move here, and they're going to have concerns about what happens to their wealth.
Sure.
And so, if there's another place where they can go that's just about the same, but, it tips them over the edge on that personal income tax, that's a real factor. And these are the kind of investors we want. We want sort of the family-owned business, people that are committed to the community, people that are going to take care of their employees, and they're not just going to be a number on a spreadsheet. And so I think this income tax thing in particular is really going to help those kind of businesses find a home here.
Part of the equation in the speed to market objective, of course, is site readiness and just having appropriate, proper sites that are ready to go, shovel ready, so as they say. The governor is keenly focused on that and gets that, and we've had some site grants, as you talked about. This is going to play out big time in our recruiting efforts. It
is a speed-to-market play, and, the governor's a convert on this. He was never really a big fan of investing in these industrial parks speculatively, but, look at in Madison County for the AWS data center, how many years it was in the works with the road infrastructure and the water and sewer getting extended. The aluminum dynamics project in Columbus. I recall Joe Max Higgins out there telling the crowd that it was 11 years, almost to the day, before that announcement that they first extended the water line to that site, and it sat empty for 11 years. So, this is a business that you have to understand takes time, takes patience, and takes investment, takes money to make money. The governor figured that out, and he has got a whole government approach to funding these things. I think he just announced here just a month or two ago over $111 million. Aligned towards site development and workforce development, and that's just unprecedented in the South right now.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the feedback we've gotten certainly on the mega site not far from here from Amazon and other suitors as well that have built projects out there has been nothing short of phenomenal. I think it serves to some degree as a template of perhaps what we could do in other parts of the state.
No doubt. I mean, the textbooks will be written about projects like this in Madison County and in the Golden Triangle, and some of the work I did down in Hancock County, and what you're seeing happening in Vicksburg over there with the new Southport. I mean, we figured this out, Gerard, and it just takes time and money and patience, and it'll get done.
The incentive package that is often offered, which includes some state-level incentives as well as local and county-level incentives as well, is pretty critical to competing in this environment.
Well, when you understand it from the company's perspective, it's not that they just want a cheap, giveaway.
Yeah.
But when you're starting a brand new manufacturing operation, it's gonna take a few years to get the plant built and to get it cash flowing. And so our philosophy is in those first 5 to 10 years, when they're struggling to get to free cash flow, we don't want to necessarily be a huge burden on them by being overly onerous in the tax environment.
Yeah.
And so that's really what the incentives are designed to do, help the companies get from spending money to making money the fastest. And then once they're a going concern, we're all winning.
We got Bill Cork. He's the executive director of the Mississippi Development Authority. We're at the Ace Bolt and Screw in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. Come by and see us. We're going to come back with more talk with Bill after this break. Stay with us. Mississippi, for those of you around the state unfamiliar with this newly minted city of Gluckstadt, it is positioned just about in the center of Madison County, south of the city of Canton and just north of the city of Madison in Madison County. And it is a thriving community for sure. We were talking to Bill Cork, executive director of the Mississippi Development Authority. We were just talking offline. Everything's new.
It's brand new. It just like jumped out of the ground overnight.
It's incredible. They've done a fantastic job, Mayor. Walter Morris was on the program earlier. A great city government, great law enforcement, great people, great businesses that are looking to expand. They're figuring out that Gluckstadt's a great place to be, and they're going to benefit, of course, with this massive economic development project, the AWS project, just north of our vantage point right here. And let's talk about that, Bill. So often you look at these projects and you think, well, that's great for wherever the project is setting up shop, but something of this scope and scale and magnitude, expect significant outgrowth as a result of that. First, you get a lot of other folks in the same industry that kind of perk up and say, hey, what's going on here in Mississippi? Why did this major player in this industry select Mississippi as a place to make this massive investment? That happens, and then you've got just lots of other outgrowth and complementary businesses. They may not even be direct suppliers, but they like to kind of concentrate, locate around this kind of operation. I don't think we've begun to realize the long-term benefits of something like this.
No, I mean, we call it the multiplier effect or the churn that comes from these massive investments. I mean, but even on the direct basis, the predictions are it'll double the Canton School District budget.
I know. I've seen the pro formas on that. It's amazing.
We're gonna find out what real money can do in education in Mississippi. We will.
That's right.
But also think about, this project has stimulated literally billions of dollars of additional investment in the Mississippi Delta on the Greenville Delta Blues power plant, which was a more than $1 billion project out there. Solar panels that are going all up across the Delta. I approved those at MDA for certificate of public need and convenience. There's just been a litany of these projects that have been approved to support this investment, and so all the property tax and all the new jobs that are going to be flung far and wide across the region from something like this, it's really hard to even imagine what it'll be.
Yeah, so when you think about even doing a fee in lieu of, which is really just a negotiated tax, if you will, property tax, as opposed to paying just the full rate of property tax. But even with a fee in lieu of, as you indicated, that's still doubling the tax revenue appropriated to the Canton School District, and that's at a discount. I mean, that's significant, and that's why you do things like this.
That's right. I mean, it's we believe in development, responsible development. I think these fee in lieus, as we've talked about, are a way to get companies from spending money to making money without penalizing them too much up front.
Yeah.
But, Amazon, when they came to town, they didn't ask us for cash.
That's exactly right.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that they're paying their own way. All the utilities is backstopped by corporate guarantees. In fact, we asked for $40 million worth of training money to help make sure that all of our people were getting built into the system, and we could leverage it into advanced AI training at our universities and all that. So, and the company was very supportive of that and has been really super aggressive and supportive of that. So, I mean, it's just really hard to see how many lives will be touched. We got an update in December from the leadership, and they said they had already been physically engaged with over 6,000 people in this market just to work on supplier networks and training and stuff like that. It's just huge.
Yeah,
that doesn't even really include all the construction jobs.
That's just absolutely that's more permanent in nature. Actually, those kinds of relationships and those kinds of supplier relationships, as opposed to just the one-time construction. But honestly, I'm not sure the construction ever ends. There's a lot of aspects of that continues just to operate and maintain these data center facilities.
Well, and we know just from the company's announced plans that this is probably an 8 or 10 year permanent construction cycle. So while we call them one-time construction jobs, that's
8 or 10 years.
8 or 10 years, pretty permanent. Yeah, sure is.
That is amazing. So, Bill, there's been lots of positive news, and the governor has rightfully highlighted that and the national media as well, about the state of Mississippi in economic development, in education, in tax reform, and the like. How is that benefiting your economic development efforts?
It's really cool, actually. And I speak at a lot of conferences and trade shows, and I travel internationally. Of course, just got back from Europe. I was a week in Europe 3 weeks ago in Korea. Everybody wants to know what's going on in Mississippi. It's like, what's the secret? It's not just the Mississippi Miracle in education, but how did you wind up winning a $10 billion data center, 2 of them back-to-back in successive years?
Yeah.
People just have these perceptions of Mississippi that are being shattered by these announcements. And, I was really proud. We were out at NVIDIA, the big chip maker. They have their big annual conference called GTC in San Jose. And Dr. Courtney Taylor, who's the head of Accelerate Mississippi, was on a panel, and she was getting beat up by a California General Assembly person, one of their state legislators, about how they just can't imagine that Mississippi can be a technology leader with Courtney sitting right next to him. And the panel moderator from NVIDIA literally broke down and said, Mississippi's workforce development around AI and advanced technology is the most advanced in the United States, and California could take a lesson.
Absolutely.
So, people are still scratching their heads as to how that could be true. So I think it's great.
Well, not only that, speed to market in California, to them a century is fast, right? So
if they get it done at all.
Exactly, if they get it done at all, because they try to make it difficult, whereas we try to simplify it. We try to streamline it here. And you guys, the governor, our governments, both at the local and the state level, have done a fantastic job in that.
It's true. And look, we've got a great team. The Mississippi Development Authority, we're small but mighty. And we've got a team of project managers and finance professionals that work with the local community, economic developers. We've had some continuity in that shop. The last 2 or 3 years, we've had virtually no turnover. So our project managers are really getting some amazing experience, and we're paying them well, and they're having a lot of fun, and it's great to win. It's just a really cool time to be in economic development in this great state.
Yeah, and then we've got lots of great local economic development organizations as well. Often you guys will get the inquiries first, right?
That's typically the way it happens. Yeah. Site selection consultants who are doing a multi-state search will reach out to the state first with their requirements documents. We'll screen those, find the locations in the state that would minimally qualify, and then we bring in the local communities that would minimally qualify. Then they'll go through a down selection process, and we nurture and guide them through that process, and then eventually they select, settle on 1 or 2 sites, and we get serious.
Yeah, and work collaboratively throughout the process, right? It's typically MDA, local economic development. Sometimes it's local governments as well, of course, state government.
And that's true. And one thing that I like to just remind folks of is that MDA doesn't pick where the projects go. The companies do. And our job as a state and the job of the local communities is to put our best product forward in the most attractive way. And then my job at the state is to put all that product in front of the companies, and then they pick where they want to go.
Yeah. Just make the overall pitch and discuss the options that are available, if you will, and they figure that out. They've already got some degree of knowledge of that, typically, right, before they even call you.
The bigger projects all have professional consultants who have a broad experience, typically in the state, have been here before with other companies.
What they do.
And that's what they do.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. What can you tell us, if anything, about what might be on the boards? I know you guys have got some announcements. I just know generically there's some stuff cooking. What can you tell us?
Well, we had a record year in 2024 with $15 billion in CapEx. We're fixing to make that look like small play.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing year. Just through, if you don't count the Compass Data Center that we announced in January, which is big in its own right.
Over in Lauderdale.
Yeah, over in Lauderdale. We've already announced $1.9 billion worth of projects so far this year.
That's fantastic.
And over 1,500 new jobs. So we're not even really halfway through the year yet, and we're already 3X what the average was for the previous 8 years.
Wow, that is incredible. What are you seeing across the country here from your peers that serve in similar roles in other states?
Everybody's covered up. Everybody's busy. Their pipelines are full. Mississippi's pipeline, I just checked it this week when I briefed the governor, $76 billion in capital investment and 36,000 jobs, 169 projects we're working right now. And what I can tell you is that Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Tennessee and Arkansas, the Deep South states, are almost getting a look at every single project
Interesting.
that looks at the United States. Now, they may eventually decide to go somewhere else, but we're usually the first look. So those states have a real great aperture as far as what's going on in the world.
Historically, that hasn't been the case.
That is not the case. That's right.
This
It was the Carolinas and Georgia.
That's right. Fairly new phenomenon, which is good news for the state of Mississippi. Bill, always good to see you, man.
Thank you
Enjoy
very
the
much.
conversation.
Appreciate
it. Bill Cork, Executive Director of the Mississippi Development Authority, has been our guest at the Ace Bolton Screw in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. It's grand opening day out here. Come by and see us. They're serving up the catfish. We're coming right back with more from the Element Wealth Studio in Gluckstadt.